Hello, everybody, and welcome to LoveBytes. We have had some slight difficulties, but we are here now. Um, let's just start all over again. Jess, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. It's Friday night, can't complain.
Lovely. Friday night at home, maybe with some wine, discussing some romance. Maybe not. Yeah. Oh, I was
That is
hoping.
exactly correct. I have a glass of wine prepared for just this occasion because, well, you're going to be asking me some questions that I want to be have a little bit less of a filter on than
Mhm.
normal.
It makes
So
sense. This
the
this
the
show lends
viewers,
itself to that sort of behavior.
yeah, exactly. The viewers deserve, honesty and candid answers.
hmm
So
hmm If it wasn't 9 a.m. for me, I would be joining you as well.
see, luckily it's 9 p.m. on a Friday night for me, so
Oh,
I am completely okay with drinking all of this and getting another glass of wine. So
fantastic. So let's start off our question. Our
great,
first question comes from Anonymous.
perfect.
When is too soon to get married?
That is a tough one, and having never been married myself, I don't feel that I'm entirely qualified to answer that. But in general, like if you haven't met your significant other's family, or if you've known this person for less than a year, then it's probably not a good idea to get married. And again, I mean, take it with a grain of salt because I've never been married.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going to marry someone, I need to at least know them for a year and depending on what stage of life you're at,
Of
you know?
course. I'd known my wife for 5 years before we got married. The person in question I happened to know, and the emails were a little less direct and kind of more chatting back and forth between us. And he had gotten married 10 months after he met his wife,
Goodness.
which was a little fast. And
That
also
is
part of that
fast.
time, he was in the UK and she was in the US. So there was some distance as well. But they
Wow.
seemed really happy together and they seemed super psyched about everything.
Are they
So
still happy and psyched about everything?
yeah, I think they've been
Okay.
married for like 5 months now. It's a recent thing.
Well, good for them then.
Um, but yeah, the question of when is too soon to get married is an interesting one.
It's kind of a case by case thing. There's no correct answer for that. And just that's just I guess what I'm saying is that I would not marry someone. Like I tend to be a little bit more logical and reasonable and less, like I don't think with my pussy, for
hmm
instance. So like even if I get really excited about a guy, I'm not like, yeah, I'm gonna marry this guy. I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna take him home and rattle some headboards, but I'm not thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna let him put a ring on it. So that's
My ballroom instructor, who is this like 90-year-old Japanese lady, told me many, many times that if you've been dating someone for a year, you know whether or not you're going to marry them, so you shouldn't screw around anymore and you should commit to it or back off right away. Like she was very strong on the 1 year you decide to marry them or you decide to look for something else. Anytime more than that is wasted. And that's
that's very interesting perspective
mm-hmm.
because I have very rarely had a relationship that lasts less than a year. Like I tend to be, I guess, almost like a serial monogamist. And like, I was in a relationship that lasted 3 years. I was in a relationship that lasted 2.5 years. And I was in a relationship that lasted a year and a half. And
Mm-hmm.
in all three of those situations, we talked about marriage. But in the end, it did not work out for a ton of reasons. And looking back, like, I'm so, so glad. Like, marriage was on the table. And I'm so incredibly glad that I didn't get married or engaged to any of those guys. And like, even though like in like my most recent case, like this was a guy I had been dating for 3 years, and
It's a
like we
long
had been talking
time.
about like, yeah, it's a long time. We'd been dating for 3 years, and we'd known each other for about a year before we started dating. And then even so, at the time though, the relationship was just not working, and I don't think you can necessarily put a length of time on it because like the relationship was just not working,
Well,
and
can I ask
regardless.
you if you remember at the 1 year point, if
Mhm.
you had to decide to get married or not at the 1 year point, what would you have done? Do you have any idea?
If it was a like, okay, it's been 1 year, you either get married or you break up
Mm-hmm.
situation, then yeah, at the time I would have said, yeah, let's get married.
Hmm.
Like if we were given that ultimatum.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but again, like looking back, I'm so glad that that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you can rush these things. And at the time, we were like, oh yeah, we're getting married someday. We're just not ready yet, and it feels so right. So if it was a situation of get married today or break up today, then I would have said, all right, let's get married today, and we'll figure out the rest later. But looking back, I'm in a completely different place in my life, and I'm so glad that we didn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a hard thing to judge.
It
You know,
is.
it's really difficult. I mean, even for me, when I decided, okay, I'm going to do this, it took me like 8 months, maybe not 8 months, like 7 months to get my shit together and actually like get the ring and get everything planned and yada yada yada. And then I ended up like waiting until after we had moved in together, which was a huge boost. So I don't know. I think in the modern day and age, you should probably live together first. And I think moving in with someone before a year is kind of insane.
Yeah.
I of
That is.
course did not follow my ballroom instructor's advice, and it worked out pretty well so far. So I would say too soon to get married is case by case basis, but you got to live
Yeah.
with the person. You got to know all of their personal ticks and habits.
Yeah.
Um, you got to see what they're like.
Their weird quirks. Like
Mm-hmm.
you got to see what they're like when they're not trying to impress you anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
They're like real gross self.
Mm-hmm. But then again, sometimes you meet a person and you click so much that you learn all that shit really, really, really early on. Not everyone, but sometimes you do. I don't know. Everyone's different. Every relationship's a little different. I would
That's
say
true.
you got to know everything about the person. I mean, not like every little detail, but you got to know pretty much all the big things. And you should
Yeah.
discuss about whether you want to have kids and how many and what the
Yeah.
plans are for that shit, guys.
Well, the most
Figure
important
that
thing you
out.
should discuss is deal breakers because different people have different deal breakers. Like for some people, like the whole religion thing is a deal breaker. For others, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, just daily living habits. There might be something that gets on somebody's nerves that's a deal breaker, and it would totally be a non-issue for someone else. So,
Can I ask what your deal breakers are?
um, that's a hard question to answer because, like, my deal breakers are like if you're a dick or if you're like insanely overly jealous. Those are my two deal breakers.
That's it. No other deal
Yeah,
breakers.
I feel like I could compromise on anything else. Like
All right.
if I get to the point in a relationship where I care about a person enough, you know, and I don't know, it like
What if they said they
yeah,
never wanted to have kids ever?
that would not be a deal breaker to me, honestly, because
What if
I
they
don't know
said
how
they
I
wanted to
feel.
have 5 kids?
It's still not a deal breaker because I don't know how I feel about that.
Hmm.
Like I have no idea where I stand on the kids issue. I probably eventually will want to have kids, but I have
Mm-hmm.
no idea. Like I honestly don't know. Like it's just kind of hard for me to imagine. Like I might want to have kids someday. I also might be happy living a life without kids. I honestly haven't made up my mind yet. So yeah, the whole kids versus no kids, not a deal breaker for me.
Okay.
I think it's for me that's always been one of those decisions that like I'll make later on down the road, and it also kind of depends on my partner. And I think it's a decision that you make as a couple, also.
Okay. All right. Next question, and I'm gonna have Jess read it.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Sent it in Skype.
Okay. Dear Neil and guest, I'm a female fan of roleplay. As someone new to D&D culture, I'm glad to have an awesome source of tabletop entertainment, but let's get to the question. About 3 years ago, two things happened. One, I started a relationship with an amazing man. Let's use the name Mike for him. Mike and I have had a great relationship with good communication, things in common, and stability in self identity to approach the relationship as two whole people and not halves trying to become one. I love him, and we're engaged to be married. The second thing happened 3 years ago. I started playing D&D online through Roll20 actually, and I've come to know a great group of guys I play tabletop with weekly.
Uh oh.
Six
Hold on.
months
We
in.
answered this question last week.
Oh, did we? This is a
This
long
is a long
question.
question. I'm so sorry for having you read that. I forgot to archive that. Uh,
Okay.
we answered that one last week with Ryan. My
Oh,
mistake, guys. My mistake. If you want to know the answer to that really long question, check out last week's episode or the week before's episode of Love Bites. Here is a fresh one for you. My
okay.
apologies.
Now let me answer this fresh question. Okay. I recently got played like a fool, where two people had decided to take my feelings and trounce so hard on them, I don't feel like a person right now. I'm being the bigger person, not causing any drama and not letting them keep me from my favorite hangout spot. But how do I get over this? I honestly feel like hot sidewalk garbage.
Hmm.
So that a lot of people have like, okay, it's just kind of human nature to have had relationships that sucked. And best thing you can do in this situation is just like focus on yourself and make yourself happy. And it sucks to be treated like ass by another person, of course. But the best way to make yourself feel better is just focus on yourself. Don't try to like throw yourself into another relationship or immediately look for like you should not the attitude should not be, well, this person sucks, so I'm going to look for a new person who does not suck. What you should be doing is saying like, okay, that person sucked. Why don't I, focus on what makes me happy in life, make myself happy, be a whole person, and then once I'm a whole person, once I'm happy with myself, find somebody that compliments that and somebody else who's happy, and we can be happy together. I
Yeah.
don't think you're going to be happy in a relationship until you're happy about yourself. And I think that's I know that's trite, but it's true also.
Yeah. And there's no way to really get over shit other than to. I hate to use this term because it kind of sounds like I'm admonishing you for being a child, but I'm not really. But you gotta you grow up and move past it. I'm not saying that you're mature, but when shit like this happens, you have to grow as a person and outgrow this situation. You have to have a lot of personal growth to that the person you were at that point and the things that affected you at that point and made you so feel so bad are no longer priorities in your life. These two people, we don't know the exact circumstances here, but they kind of screwed you over, it seems like.
Yeah.
And you want to, as Jess said, focus on yourself and develop yourself to the point that, you know what, you're really not the same person that you were when they screwed you over. And now they're the assholes for screwing you over because now you're way better than they are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Like I've been in situations where like um I've been dumped before and like this one time I got broken up with and it fucking sucked. Like the guy I was dating at the time dumped me in a really horrible way and said some really horrible things to me and just like completely crushed me as a person and was like intentionally over the top mean.
hmm.
Instead of just breaking up with me, he was so incredibly just cruel about it. And so at the time, it killed me. And I was like, man, I must really suck. And then I took a couple months and just like worked on myself and then realized, like, okay, not everyone's going to like me, and that's all right. And I was able to kind of build my own life and be happy by myself. And then a couple months later, ran into this guy, and he was like, hey, I regret breaking up with you. Do you want to hang out again? And I was like, no.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you missed
exactly
the
what you want to do.
chance. Exactly. I was like, I'm not even a little bit sorry that you miss me because you had your chance. And yeah, I have done some personal growth since then, but I'm not like a drastically different person. And you missed the fucking boat. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. My wife and I, when we were dating, split up for like 6 months because we had just moved to a new city and everything was really rough and it wasn't working out. And we said, you know what? We don't want to grind this into the ground. This clearly isn't working. We're just going to go our separate ways. I still really like you, but this is just not working. We're out. Peace out, guys. And then we both went off and did a ton of personal growth and then ended up coming back together and everything worked out really well. And so anytime you're in a bad situation, you're being dumped, focus on yourself.
Yeah.
If you think you're out of shape, get in shape. If you just find yourself lounging around the house without doing anything, get really into a hobby or get really into your work. Hobbies are better. Work kind of sucks. unless you have a cool job. Like, get really into something and become really good at that, or just get really involved and invested
Yeah.
until the point that you're too busy for a relationship. You don't have time for that shit. And then someone will
Yeah.
come along, you're like, oh, well, I'll make room for this person now and it'll be great.
Yeah.
But focus on yourself.
For sure.
Forget them losers. All right, next question. Greetings. To start out and make things easier for you, I am a 14-year-old dude, male, in the state of Washington. I am rather a serious and mature person, so high school dating never appealed to me unless it had a promise of sex, with the exception of the scenario I'm about to tell you, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So 4 years when I first moved, wrong four. 14-year-olds. Get your fours right. So 4 years when I first moved to the town I'm in, I started to have a huge crush on this really cute girl in my class. Long story short, we became friends. But a while ago, she started being an awful bitch for no reason whatsoever. Her friend Sky, who was wonderful, strong-willed, super cute, charismatic, and somewhat intelligent, and I sit next to each other in almost all of our classes. That's not a complete sentence. And there is a new volunteer position at the hospital with a very live right next to also that we are both gunning for. Also, on top of that, I caught her sneaking a few glances at me back and forth during science. Now, myself being as interested in a legitimate partner as I am, would be on her like fly on shit, except for the facts that she's the bitch's best friend, and here's the kicker: she's dating a very good man who I champion as one of my friends. This is awful. I can't stand it. I feel in desperate need for a partner, and she's super cool, and on top of that, I would get to show that awful bitch from the beginning of the message that I can live without her. I feel that I'm attracted to her, and perhaps even she's attracted to me. People say that I'm pretty decent looking, and I know I'm very intelligent also. What if I can't restrain myself for my friend's sake at the hospital position, and I hurt him in a way that I can't bear to do? What if I get even more attracted to her in that volunteer position? Should I just not take the position, or should I start dating her to spite the bitch and forget about my friend? Sorry for the wall of text. Zwed Verun. All right, Zwed.
Okay.
First off,
I have no idea what that question even was asking, but to begin with, you need to stop referring to like that girl who was mean to you. You need to stop referring to her as the bitch. That is not doing you any favors. Like, she's a person as well. I'm sorry that you don't like her, but don't I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that doesn't help you anyway. I mean, I understand you're upset, but I mean, you can't say I'm a really mature person and refer to someone as a bitch over and over again.
Yes.
But that's beside the point. Let's get to the heart of the question here. You have got a crush on this girl who is friends with a girl that you had a falling out with, and this girl is one of your close friends' girlfriend. So it's pretty cut and dry here. Do not chase this girl. She's friends with the person that you really don't like, and that will never work in your favor, ever. Either
Right.
you're going to break them up, which is unlikely to happen, or that's just going to crush your relationship because you're going to be talking shit about her friend, and then she's going to be like, that's my friend, don't talk shit about her, and she's going to leave you,
Yeah.
or then her friend will talk shit and becomes super high school drama. Don't get involved
Yes.
that way. Also, you've got your friend that you make in high school will be your friend for life, possibly.
Yeah.
This girl, you're
No.
probably gonna, it's probably not gonna work out. Also, one of your main reasons for going after this girl is to get back at another girl. All right.
How fucked up is that?
All right, dude. I'm gonna be real with you here. I'm gonna be super real with you here. You are not mature. I'm gonna let that sink in for a moment. Everything you've stated here, all of your motivations are super childish. Because in one moment you're like, high school dating never appealed to me unless it had the promise of sex, not a mature thing. And then later you're like, but I really want to. What was it? Damn it, there was something else in here. Go for it, Jess. I'm trying to find my evidence.
Well, especially for a 14-year-old, you're 14. Sex should never be your primary motivation in life. I don't care what the media tells you. The average 14-year-old is not having sex. That is just not how it works, okay? Like, the TV shows lie to you, okay? Like, the OC, Gossip Girl, those are not true to reality, okay?
Yeah.
Most 14-year-olds are not running around fucking everything in sight.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're 14 and your primary reason, your two reasons for wanting to date a girl are, I want to fuck her and I want to piss off her friend who I think is a bitch, then you do not want to date her.
Yeah,
If,
dude, this is not. Sorry, I
if
didn't
there's
mean
a
to.
girl you want to go out with, your primary reasons for dating her should be she's pretty, she's nice, she smells good, she's funny, and I enjoy spending time with her.
He did say she's wonderful, strong-willed, super cute, charismatic, and somewhat intelligent.
I don't know.
All these great qualities. Yeah, and she's
And
kind of smart. I don't know,
guess
whatever.
I guess she's okay to look at. She might have a brain somewhere in that noggin. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
That's not good enough for me,
not
dude.
good enough, dude. Dude, this
Focus on
is.
yourself. Stop with this whole like pickup artist bullshit and just develop your own hobbies. Focus on school. You're 14. Join a sports team. Study
Make a
math.
D&D club.
Yes.
Make a D&D club. Play D&D all day. Forget the girls. I wasn't. It was like 10 days before my 19th birthday before I got my first kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 17
Yeah.
when I had my first kiss ever.
Mm-hmm.
I one time when I was 15, I held hands with a boy for a couple minutes, and
Ooh.
then I got really embarrassed. And our parents picked us up from the mall where we had our movie date, and then
I
I did him for like 2 years. So
I kissed a girl on the cheek when I was 17. I was a pretty baller. Yeah, I think that just means you and I are kind of sad and pathetic.
I think we were late bloomers.
Yeah, but I mean, we have bloomed, haven't we?
We certainly have.
So that's the answer, dude. Don't go after this girl. Do not betray your friend ever. Your friendship with him is way more important than any potential relationship with this girl. Don't do it to spite this other person. You're going at this for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And rethink that I'm super mature statement, because we all think
Yeah.
it when we're 14 and it's not actually true.
Yeah.
Except for me, I was super mature when I was 14. I was super mature. Okay, I am going to send you a question now.
Okay.
Gina. There you go. A little bit longer.
Okay. Oh, it's a long one. Great. Okay. Hi, Neil and Jess. I'm a male 23-year-old that recently finished university and is currently working to earn a bit of money. So far in my life, I've been pretty unlucky with the ladies. Between semi-fake long-distance dating to a 3-year-long toxic relationship where I felt used and unwanted to not really getting anywhere at all, it's not been an enjoyable experience, yet I still long for a lasting connection with another human being that goes beyond just hanging out, playing games, and getting to know each other. Anyway, after trying and failing at online dating, which for the record is a terrible thing, I asked my best friend for advice. She started talking to her friends, and then her friend got me talking to someone she knows, and right away we kind of just clicked. We both seem to have things in common with our attitude about certain foods, about going out, the games we play, D&D, Magic the Gathering, etc., etc. The only problem so far is that she is, well, crazy? Not to go into too much detail, of course, as she told me various things in confidence. She's got pet cacti, she's a Wiccan, and she seems to really like me, so that's obviously a sign that she's crazy. All jokes aside, she seems to have a nut loose. That isn't really too much of a problem for me, I guess, since many times I think the same thing about myself. Enough backstory onto my actual question. So she's currently in university, and she spends almost all her time focused on it, so much so that we never have chances to talk anymore, and we had to cancel our first date that we had planned. She seems into me, and I seem into her, but she said she won't have any time for me until at the very least the new year, and even then I have no idea what her schedule will be like because we haven't had any chance to talk about any of it. What I want to ask is, should I pursue her? TLDR, is it okay to stick your dick in crazy if she likes D&D? Thanks, Anonymous. Well, Anonymous, I have to say no. Crazy can be exciting at first. I get that. I so get that. Somebody seems crazy, which you at first interpret as, well, they're eccentric, they're exciting, there's never going to be a dull moment. No. Don't stick your dick in crazy, and don't let crazy stick your dick in you.
Yeah, the pet
It's
cactus
sticky.
thing's pretty cool. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't think the cactus thing is anything to be crazy about. But
And the Wiccan thing, I'm not really too sure
that's
what that
also not a.
entails. You know, like what is my knowledge about Wiccan culture is pretty limited.
I don't think
Um,
that automatically makes someone crazy, but I mean, this guy mentions he goes, she has a pet cacti, she's a Wiccan, she's into me. All jokes aside, he goes, all jokes aside, she seems to have a nut loose.
that's true. All right, if that's the case,
If you're already having these like questions that this girl might be crazy, then run.
I I had once upon a time dated a girl that I thought had a bit of a nut loose, but whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it. Maybe it's not that. Maybe the nut's not that loose. Maybe I've just misunderstood the events, something like that. And for various reasons, it really didn't work out. And in retrospect, you know, now that my head is clear and we're not together, I have no idea what the hell I was doing there. I was insane.
Yeah.
If there's a nut loose, that's
If okay,
fine. Just move
if
on.
this early on, before you guys are even official, if you're even questioning if you should pursue this or not,
Mhm.
no, you absolutely should not. And I mean, you do what you want, but my professional opinion as a person who has, dated other crazy people is no. You run. You run far away. Later on, you're going to meet a nice girl and you're going to thank your lucky stars. You did not stick your dick in crazy.
Yeah. Dated another girl who had a. It wasn't. I wouldn't say the nut was loose. I would just say, you know, it could have been tightened a little bit harder, and that was fine. But post breakup, there were some interesting things that came up that just were like, yeah, that was a good decision to leave that relationship. So,
That's that's the thing. Have you noticed? Post breakup is when the crazy really reveals itself.
but I
You
can't
know?
tell if that's because now your head is clear or you've broken up with them, and so you're looking for reasons to dislike them. I have a
No,
hard
I think
time. I
they
think.
go even crazier though after you break
Oh,
up
I
with
see
them.
what you mean. When you break up, the craziness comes to the surface.
Yeah, because they get desperate and they're trying to like claw their way back into your life. Like I had this guy who like I broke up with him and then like 2 days later he texts me and goes, I think I'm gay. And
Oh,
I'm like, really though? Or are you just trying to get attention? He's like, no, I really think I'm gay. And then like 4 months later he was engaged to his like high school girlfriend. So it was yeah,
wow, wow,
exactly. Bullet dodge.
yeah. All right,
Mm-hmm.
we are gonna take a. Nah, screw it. We're gonna skip our break today. This is too good. All right, next question. Hey Neil and guest. I'm in my late 20s and my situation is much the same. I don't have any friends, lovers, and I'm estranged from my family. I guess that makes it 6 years since my last relationship. My work life has been pretty decent. Promotion in 2004 and a new job this week. Likely buying a house soon. Been looking. Not sure why, but on the plus side, I'll have more room to be alone in. I still suffer from depression and it's hard to get motivated slash overcome social anxiety. In June, I had weight loss surgery. I've lost 75 pounds, still a long way from my goal. My self image has improved, and I've recently been trying to force myself into social situations. Good, good, good. X examples: gathering with colleagues, random geek events, went to a Magic the Gathering sealed tournament, and messaging girls on online dating sites. Haven't had much luck with any of these things, but it's okay. The worst of the bunch has been online dating. I remember being good at it pre 2009, but this time around I've been finding it harder and harder not to let failures bother me. On the plus side, online dating is a lot more popular today than it was in my prime. Though maybe that's why I'm failing. More competition, etc., making my strange, quirky charm less appealing. Despite everything, I'm still adept at cloaking my insecurities and betraying confidence. Knowing that, knowing that I think my, knowing that I think makes my failures all. Knowing that, there we go. I can't read apparently. I need glasses. Knowing that, I think my failures are all the more painful. I actually get it's actually getting bad. I check the sites on a daily basis, full of anxiety. I've actually hidden all of my profiles after having messaged all the not bad possible mates in my area. I've also started to wonder if I should just lower my standards to meet someone. It's hard though. I feel like my situation makes me a catch and I shouldn't settle, both because of the almost
Mm.
guaranteed weight loss and financially. I don't think I'm shallow, but attraction and shared interest is, in my opinion, what dating is all about. I'm also not interested in changing someone slash raising someone's bastard. TLDR, after 6 years of seclusion outside of work, should I try hooking up with some uglies to fix my game, continue focusing on improving myself, or try not to lower my standards but continue to try and meet someone? Thanks for your consideration. Hmm. Have you ever had any experience with online dating, Jess?
Yeah, I have.
Well,
And
what'd you think
yeah,
of
I've
it?
had
It's a little bit different for guys and girls.
it is. It is, granted, it's a ton different from guys and girls.
Yeah.
In my experience as a woman on dating sites, okay, so as a woman on dating sites, you kind of have your pick of the litter, right? However, the litter is not necessarily the batch from whom you want to pick. Um, Online dating, it's true, honestly, in 2015, there absolutely is no stigma anymore. It's not even like, okay, 4 years ago, people would say, oh, there's no stigma anymore. And they would say that knowing that there still was. Honestly, nowadays, everybody does it.
Hmm.
Everybody and their mother is on OkCupid. Everybody is on Tinder, and there actually is no stigma anymore. And with that said, though, it's as a woman, you do kind of get inundated with messages, but they're not always going to be from somebody that you want to date. And the best word that I can use to describe a lot of these dudes on online dating is delusional. Because like
Hmm.
I just I go to their profile and I see what they message me and I go, "Really? In what universe would you think I would be interested in you?" And that's not a diss, but it's like I so I'm 27, and often I would get messages, and I went to college, and I have a career in the games industry. Yet often I would get messages from overweight dudes in their 40s who didn't graduate from college and are working blue collar jobs, and then would like call me stuck up for not responding to them. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but literally, what do you bring to the table? Like, you just have to be reasonable and realistic with yourself. So, just I don't know.
Yeah. So, I, I guess what I'm trying to get at, you get inundated by a lot of messages, right?
Yeah,
Like you don't ever search through guys' profiles. You kind of go through the people that come after you. It's more of a filtering out incoming rather than searching out others, right?
yeah.
Do you have any? What are your? This kind of sounds like a leading question, but do you have like specific criteria that you use to search through people, or is it just kind of like gut feeling?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, like, I'm not on OkCupid anymore. I don't use online dating anymore. Because I do have a boyfriend now.
Hmm.
But the funny thing is, well, here's, I guess, I don't know if this is an example. Okay, I am a fan of online dating, but I am more of a fan of like meeting people in real life
Hmm.
because, like, my boyfriend, who I've been dating for about 2 months now, messaged me on OkCupid back in August, and apparently I visited his profile and then did not reply to his message. So there are a couple things going on there. Like, first of all, you need to be realistic with your standards, I think. And then second of all, um, once you are realistic with your standards, your profile needs to accurately reflect you because, like, obviously I really love my boyfriend and I think he's a great guy, but his profile clearly did not reflect that. I don't know why it was, but I wasn't willing to give him a chance online. But then later on, when I met him in person, I really liked him. So
Yeah. Online dating is really hard because you have to
it
create
is.
a single image of yourself and project it to the people. And
Yeah.
what do you
You have to like
project?
put your best qualities forward, but you also have to create a realistic depiction of yourself. And you can't like oversell yourself, but just,
You want to give yourself a good image, but you can't
mm-hmm,
oversell it. But you also have to give yourself an accurate image, and you also have to give something that is fairly succinct. You can't write a 20-page essay on who you are as a person.
mm-hmm,
You have to pick a few choice things, and it's not ever going to fully represent you. And if you try and
mm-hmm.
do it all, you look like a crazy person for posting your
Yeah,
entire history online. Like
yeah,
online dating is very it's a very specific skill, and it's very difficult. I've dabbled in it in the past, and I think I would consider myself to be a pretty fucking good catch. Yeah, I've almost always worked independent jobs, worked for myself, and done fairly well. I think I'm fairly decent looking. I'm a ballroom dancer. I've done like 7 years of aikido and judo. Like I've got some skills behind me. I've got some good things going on. And yet, online dating was kind of terrible. It was a
yeah.
miserable, miserable experience for me, and it didn't work. And that's because I'm really shitty at online dating. I don't know how to be like, "Hi, girl, I'm so cute. You're so cute. Let's make the babies, yo." Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I would write these like formally worded responses. "Greetings, madam. You happen to be particular." Not exactly like that, but it was terrible. So online dating is rough. That's
It
what I'm trying to say
is.
about this for you
It
guy
is.
out there. And if you're in the position where you're trying it and it's not working, and so you're like throwing yourself at it and you're checking it all the time and getting really involved in it, you need to step back because the people you're emailing are getting tons of responses and they're just looking for
Yeah.
something that clicks really quickly with them that like makes sense, or they already have a set of criteria. Online dating is kind of hard.
Yeah.
So,
Well, okay. The other thing that I found is that for me, there were several times when a guy would message me that I actually found like, oh my God, this guy seems perfect. Like, just like his pictures are great. The way he talks about himself, like, is great. I love like what he does. He's opinionated, he's passionate, you know, he's kind, he's intelligent, etc. All the things I'm looking for. He ticks all my boxes. And then we meet up, we got on a date, and it's just there's just nothing there. We just don't click.
mhm.
And I think there's that one, and I don't know what it is or what you call it, but I think there is that kind of X factor of there's just no chemistry there. And
Mhm.
like I specifically, I just remember there was this guy that I went on a date with, and by all accounts, it was like a great date. Like he did everything right. He was kind. He was sweet. He did everything right. I just
Yeah.
wasn't feeling it.
Mhm.
Like his
Mhm.
picture, like he was really handsome in person, like his pictures represented. But like when we met up and we had drinks, there was just no romantic attraction there.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, the real challenge with online dating is that
Mhm.
somebody can seem perfect and they can seem like everything that you thought you wanted, but once you actually get in a real life scenario with them, it's
Do
just
you
doesn't work out.
mhm. So to go on with that, you say you've never been in a not you, Jess, but the writer, haven't been in a relationship for 6 years, and it's difficult to go from 6 years of no relationships to like hopping in and finding the perfect mate for you. So I would say, like anything, if you're getting involved in a new activity or a new task, you don't jump to the top. You got to work your way up the ladder. If you're starting to get into StarCraft, you don't just start practicing 12 hours a day and hope to be GM in a year. If you're getting into StarCraft, you want to play a few games today, maybe play the campaign tomorrow, play some multiplayer again, read something on TL, watch some VODs, play a little bit more. And you want to build up to it. So dating is very similar. You don't just go from not dating to finding the love of your life. You got to get out there and you have to get a little bit of experience. You got to remember what it's like. Because
Yeah.
even if you met the perfect girl right now, the perfect girl from you, you're gonna fuck it up. And that's not because you're a bad person, but you're rusty. You don't know what's going on anymore. You've lost your chops, man. You've lost your chops. So I would say don't necessarily lower your standards, but do things more casually. Take it a lot less seriously. You might want to go after people who are out of your like prized dating pool, but with the intention of doing that casually and not necessarily doing that as a long-term thing. Maybe find some of the other dating dating sites that allow you to, I don't want to say hook up with people, but like get to know people in a little bit more of a casual setting. Date, hang out for a little while, just be a little bit more casual with everything. And then once you've gotten used to talking to people and hanging out with people and remembering how to talk to females, which is awkward enough. It's awkward enough
Yeah.
with Jess being in Ohio and me being in Vietnam and us doing the strictly platonic LoveBytes show. It's still hard to
Yeah.
talk to her. She's weird. Look at her. Look at her. This is
I know. I'm
strange. So it's difficult to talk to people sometimes, and you gotta practice and get back into the swing of things. And once you're like
Yeah.
in the groove, then you're fine that you're not so nervous, you're not so anxious, your emails are coming off a little bit easier, you're a little bit more smooth, and you don't sound like Neil trying to date online because, guys, it's not a pretty picture, and it's a reason it stopped.
Yeah, well, and I mean to kind of go off of that, like dating is almost a skill that you have to cultivate. Like it can be awkward at first, but it is not a bad idea to go on some casual dates with people that you're not necessarily that interested in, but at least I think like kind of keep an open mind and go into every date as like, you know, maybe you'll still go somewhere, maybe it won't. In the end, we're gonna have a nice evening together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be fun. And that's the point of dating is like I think that's kind of in the end the point of dating is you go out with somebody and neither of you is expecting anything. You're just getting to know each other and seeing where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, you'll have a fun evening, even if it doesn't go anywhere. You had some drinks, you had some fun, you had some great conversation.
Yeah, because
Or
people.
you did, or it was really awkward and you have a fun story to tell your friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, we discussed this last time. Like when you're single and no one's into you, but as soon as you get a girlfriend, everyone's into you, or as soon as you get a boyfriend, everyone's into you. That sort of thing, it applies here. If you're really like trying to get into this, you have the stink of desperation around you. Even if you're not
Yeah.
desperate, you just emit this aura of I'm looking for a partner, and
Yeah.
everyone stays away from it. So,
Women can smell a thirsty dude from miles away.
mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
So,
So don't worry about it. Try and sit back, try and relax, try and take it more casually. You'll be
yes.
fine. Hire a
Don't be
couple of prostitutes, get it out of your system.
Yes. Like, look up some porn, masturbate, and then go out with these women. Like, you should always masturbate before a first date because otherwise you're gonna be like too like horny and you're gonna be way too horny. You're gonna fuck things up. So always fap before a date.
Okay.
All right,
One
you just
more.
sent me another question.
One more. This is actually in response to what we were just talking about, the catch 22 of people being in. I don't know. You'll read it. It'll make sense as soon as you read it.
Okay. All right. The question is, thought I'd chime in and add a little to this LoveBytes misadventure. I agree with Jess about the catch 22 of how the taint of date attracts more advances. The only problem is that I think I'm somehow running that catch 22 backwards as of late. A strange trick of nature has me brushing my date's dentures in the morning on disposable underwear patrol all day long, repeating what I just said a day later, and sometimes only 5 minutes later. And then there's the not quite yelling over the TV's volume that is cranked up to nearly max. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I love her. A heart of gold with more wisdom than the day is long, except for the not remembering part. So I continue to wonder about that mutually exclusive thing and how it comes into play. Like, maybe you could help me out with this a bit. We've been talking it over, and we finally came to an agreement where we won't just go our separate ways, but then again, that could only make things more complicated. So I've listened to some of your LoveBytes advice, and for the most part, it makes good sense somehow. The only problem is that I've been in the loop for so long that I can't remember what it's like being out of the loop. So, like Rapunzel, stuck in a tower, or like Cinderella with her Sisty Ugglers. I'm trapped in some kind of no man's zone. So one day it finally came to a head, and I let her know in no uncertain terms. I said, Mom, I'll have to trade you in for a newer model. And such is my quandary. I'm with you, Neil, on this one about not horning in on another dude's wife. But for cripe's sake, my date was married to my dad. But I should be okay. He did give me the charge of take care of mama for me. And the old clock was never to be wound again. And the old man died.
This is not what I thought it was going to be. This is beautiful, though.
So if Jess has any further ideas, like in between the I've already got one status, to either promulgate or deny Neil's naughty rules of singles engagement, I'm up for suggestion. In the erstwhile, it's back to the not quite but almost taint of date status for me. Sorry about leaving you out of the loop on this one, Gondolina. I guess I'm as preened as I can get for the time being, but I'm still up for preferences. So, any LoveBytes suggestions? From Scott, aka Farnish.
I have got to start pre-reading the questions beyond the first 3 sentences. This made no sense whatsoever.
Scott, I think you go for it. Live your dreams. Sleep with your mom.
Yeah.
You do.
Good job, Scott. Well played. Normally, I don't pre-read anything, and it's been a while since we've had some troll questions, so I guess I let my guard down, and this one slipped right on through. All right, here's a slightly better, realistic one, I think. There we go. Here we go. Well played, Farnish. Well played. Dear Neil and guest, back in high school, I had a crush on a girl. That didn't come to anything because I had no guts to tell her about it, and I haven't thought about her after school ended. This was 8 years ago. Yesterday, I found her profile on an online dating site, and that she lives in the same city as I am. How you advise to approach her? T. Well, T, I would... I don't know, Jess. All right, let's do it this other way. You're a girl, okay? You move to a new city, you start doing some online dating, and all of a sudden you get an email, a query from a guy that you actually knew back in high school. You guys never had anything together. You might have talked to him in some classes, shared some classes. He wasn't really on your radar. He was on your radar, but he wasn't like a person. And he's like, boom, hey there. I happen to be living in this city too. Want to get together for drinks? What do you do?
Honestly, if that was me, then I would say, well, okay. Depends on how much I knew of him in high school or college or whenever high school, I assume, whenever we knew each other. If he was like if he was not a weirdo, if he was like a nice person, even though we didn't know each other very well, then I would be like, oh, hey, so-and-so, it's so great to hear from you again. I love hearing from people that I haven't seen since high school. Definitely, I would love to get drinks with you.
See? There you go. Keep it short. Keep it simple. You knew her before. You don't want to be like reading all of her profiles and sending her a dramatic message. Keep it simple. You want to play on the previous relationship and use this new thing as like a crack in the door to get in. Like, oh, what's up? Long time no see. You want to go get some coffee? Want to go get a drink? And then you do everything in person. Play it chill.
Yes. Okay. See, like, I mean, on kind of a separate note, people always ask me, like, what, in your opinion, is the most successful pickup line? And for me, I'm always like, I don't know, if a dude just walks up to me and goes, like, hey, I'm so-and-so. You know, I thought you were really pretty. I wanted to get to know you. Can I buy you a drink? Then I would say, oh, yeah, sure. Thank you. That's really nice. You know, like, you don't have to come up with like crazy line or this like big whole scenario, because even if you are really into this girl, there's no guarantee that she's going to turn out to be what you think she's going to be. So, like, you have just as much, like, she has just as much at stake as you do. So, like, it's, I don't know, it's not even a big deal just to walk up to her and be like, hey, do you want to get a drink sometime?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the point where you guys get to know each other and figure out if there's any attraction there.
Mm-hmm. So be chill. Go for it, dude.
Exactly.
Go for it, but
Yeah.
just relax. Hang out. It's fine. No sweat.
Yeah.
Okay, now we gotta. Oh, there's a bunch of long ones, and now I'm not sure. Oh, hey, we have a reply from the 14-year-old
No
from
way,
Zood.
really? Oh
Wow,
my.
thank you so much for setting me straight. I really needed to step back from my situation. You guys were just the people to help me out. I needed to get slapped and be humbled for my arrogant ideas. Also, proofread this email because of that I proofread this email because of that embarrassing show of awful grammar earlier. I'm not mature yet, although and though I don't usually think that I speak like that regularly, I can see what that girl from the beginning of the first message started to dislike me if I do. I'm really sorry for that prior message, and thank you again for the response that I can use to help guide me in my following decisions. And trust me, I'm not going to go after that girl after being shown the things from a neutral view. I got to remember that I'm just a kid, and personally, I think that remembering that fact will be the only way to start practicing what I'm preaching. I am very utterly sorry. Now I'm going to go out with this new knowledge and do right by my friends. Boom! Virtual high five, Jess. We did it. That was
That's
terrible. You
awesome.
left me behind.
Awesome, actually.
Nice. Very nice.
All right.
Okay. We got a little bit more time, so we'll do another. Do you think telling a girl you love her right away is a good thing? No.
Depends on what you mean by right away, but probably not.
No. You can't love someone right away.
Yeah, like that's what I mean is what do you mean by right away? Like, does right away mean like before you guys have even been on a date? Because if so, then yeah, that's fucking nuts. Like saying I love you should be something that happens after you guys have been in an exclusive relationship for a couple months, you know?
Yeah. I would. It's hard to put a number on these things or
Yeah,
exact date, but it should be the sort of thing where you can tell it's love and not lust, and it's not
yeah,
infatuation. It should
yeah,
be the sort of thing where, like, you have had a disagreement or an argument or a fight, or you were mad at them, but while you were have these negative feelings towards them, you still had these strong positive feelings towards them. Because if you're just like, yeah, they're wonderful, they're great, we have all this fun time, and we hang out, and we have sex all the time, it's wonderful. That's not love. That's just like having a great time with someone. You know.
hmm,
Love is a little bit stronger. It endures a few more things. So no, don't. I wouldn't bust out the "I love you" right away, unless it's the sort of thing where you've just come to this realization after seeing someone for 6 years that you really love them. Then go for it. But that's not right away. So
yeah.
lock down. Okay, last question probably. Here you go for you.
Okay. Dear LoveBytes, I'm 19 now. I was 12 the last time I was in a relationship. Wow. This is causing me to do quite a bit of speculation about myself and why that may be. I've come to the conclusion that in some ways it is due to a perceived self worth of little to none, and in other ways it is due to crippling fear of things from my past reoccurring. Now, the first thing is probably not something you can give advice on, and I recognize that I need to address it on my own, or in my own way, and I've made progress in that. But I found it impossible to solve the latter issue on my own. A little backstory will be necessary on this one, so here goes. My last relationship ended due to an unplanned pregnancy. This was not by my choice, but by circumstances that made it impossible for the relationship to continue. Long story short, someone kicked my then 3 months pregnant girlfriend at the time directly in the stomach, oh my god, terminating the unborn child. I spiraled into depression and the relationship fell apart. I became an alcoholic, gained a lot of weight, and dropped a few grades. I would slit my wrists and drop low enough to attempt suicide a few times. About 2 or 3 years ago, I mostly recovered mentally. Now I seem to have this issue of wanting to find someone to be with, but anytime I get to a point with someone at which we both seem to be interested in each other and want to date, I inwardly freak out. I will start worrying about the possibility of the issues of my past cropping up again, and at this point it becomes too much and I cut ties with the person. Basically, I am afraid of the person I was, and I know I could end up being. I'm afraid of becoming emotionally invested in anyone. But on another level, I am afraid that because of this, I will be alone perpetually. Do you have any suggestions as to how to get past this? Nothing I have tried works. Thanks, Anon. I would say therapy, to be honest. That is a big thing you're dealing with. That is a huge thing you're dealing with. I personally have never dealt with an unwanted pregnancy or a potential pregnancy or anything. I've never been pregnant, so I don't know what that's like. But to have had a potential child that you lost, I can't even imagine what that grief might be, but I'm sure that is a hard thing to deal with. And that said, I think that's something that you need to work out with a counselor, with a therapist, to get your own mental health straight before you can be happy with somebody else.
Hmm. Yeah, but also you're right. I think you said somewhere in here, maybe not, but you're not the person you were before. Especially if the difference is between 19 and 12. Like you're a different person. And it's been a long time. It's been an additional 60% of your life or something like that.
Yeah.
So don't sweat it. You're not the same person. You're pretty different. Counselor would be great. Um, I have a number of people in my life who have sought therapy for things, and they have said it has helped them tremendously. So I would definitely go after that. But there's a lot of things change. People change. I am definitely not the person I was 6 years ago. I'm definitely not the person I was 60% of my life ago. So don't worry so much about the past. You'll be fine. We're all you know you're doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. You just got hit with some really rough shit early on. But we're all going through the same stuff, and we're all capable of horrible things and great things. And uh, don't be so hard on yourself, dude. As for the, what did you call it? Perceived self worth of little to none. Um, we also all pretty much deal with that stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
Ryan and I were talking about that last time on LoveBytes. That you know, on a day-to-day basis, I am occasionally paralyzed with crippling doubt and self, like, oh my god, is everything I'm doing completely worthless, and I'm wasting my time with my life, and am I of no value to society at all? We all have these thoughts.
Yeah.
It's about crushing them inside and not letting them come up, and then recognizing the good that you do. So
Mm-hmm.
don't sweat it. Everyone has crippling fear and doubt and uh, self esteem issues.
Mm-hmm. Everybody is insecure about something.
Hmm.
And I don't know, you just kind of can't let that like rule your life.
Yeah. Well, that was a very serious question to end on, but
It was. Wow.
that's it for Love Bites today, guys. I think in the future we will try and get Jess and Gonjalina to do a duo, but we'll probably wait a few
Awesome.
months. We don't want to overload you guys with too much
Yeah.
Jess. It's hard to take.
I know, I'm terrible. You guys don't want to see too much of me.
No, no, yeah. I mean, weekly on misclicks is great,
I
but
know, but past that, it's ugh.
yeah. Anyway, Jess, where can people see more of you?
So if you guys want to see more of me, you can follow me on Twitter at JessBrohard. If you want to watch me stream, I stream mostly Dota 2, occasionally other games I've been playing, such as Fallout or other indie games that I've been playing. I stream almost every day on twitch.tv/Jess. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Because I was joking earlier, we all love Jess and we all want to see more of her all the time. That's just why we
Thank
bring her on
you.
Love Bites all the time. So that's it for that. I will be streaming pretty much right after this. So stick around if you want some D&D world building and stuff. And on that, we will see you all later. Bye bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye, guys.